Hey guys, it's Indigo here. I wanted to share my thoughts regarding this whole TW debacle for the next territory wars that's going to come up. So, CG announced the results of the poll that we voted for. I know a lot of my guildmates and members of my alliance chose not to take part in that silly poll since you could vote for more characters than they said you could. You could also vote multiple times. It was really just a huge giant mess. So, I don't know. I just thought I'd make this quick video and share my thoughts. Normally, Territory Wars is one of my favorite activities. I mean, I love doing that. I can't stand territory battles. The only good thing I feel from that is the rewards at the end. Otherwise, those battles are just monotonous, just auto through them. But Territory Wars gives you an opportunity to strategize, to collaborate with your guild. As an officer in my guild, we take time to plan out what we think is a solid strategy, and more than likely, we're successful. We have a good win record. We like PvP. We like trying to shoot for that extra Zeta and a little bit of extra rewards. It just makes it more fun. And our guild enjoys our battle strategies and, all the PvP activity. But all these changes that they did, first, I don't see how, comparing to the last go-around of Territory Wars when they gave us temporary bonuses, it wasn't so bad. It affected like 4 characters and people already had Mace in good shape, most of them. So getting super bonuses for these 4 didn't affect us a whole lot. It was something to work around, a little bit fun, but I don't see how that translated into we're going to deny 20 characters that you've worked hard on, spent resources on, and also a lot of you have paid for. As someone who is a pay-to-play player, I don't understand that. Like, their business model. It's like, spend all this money on these characters to acquire Darth Revan and do good in raids and Darth Traya and her supporting cast, gear them all up to gear 12, and now, guess what? You can't use them. So, these are my thoughts. They released the results of the poll, and it says, unavailable characters. The following characters were included in the poll, but were not chosen by the community or Capital Games. These characters will be unavailable for the next Territory Wars. Group 1, and we knew this was coming, Jedi Knight Revan, Colonel Stark, Dengar, HK-47. Group 4, Darth Traya figures, IG-88, Jedi Knight Anakin, and Death Trooper. Group 8, Darth Nihilus, Night Sister Zombie, Jolie, and Shore's Trooper. Way to quality check your materials, CG. Group 10, General Kenobi, Asajj Ventress, First Order Officer, Jango Fett. And CG decided in their infinite wisdom they were going to vote out Han Solo, Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano, Enfys Nest, and First Order Stormtrooper. So, these are all the characters we can't use, and I know some people are excited to theorycraft what new teams are they going to be able to put together. I'm not sure what the average GP of the player base is, but I sat down and looked at the characters that were going to be taken out just on my roster, which is just over 4 mil GP, and this is how it affects me, so I can only imagine how it's going to affect someone who's 3 mil, 2 mil, and lower. Okay, the first faction we got here Jedi, and I put an X over the ones that won't be available. So you can see Revan, GK, Jolie Bindo, and then Anakin taken out. Out of these, 3 of them are Gear 12. That's 4 Zetas down the drain. That's for me. And it's not like those come out every day. I mean, that's like a month, 2 months maybe, worth of Zetas that CG just decided to say, here, have fun. You can't use these. Feel free to use the Bastille Elite team or go back to Qui-Gon Jinn, So, won't be able to use those, but there's still plenty of Jedi left over to make a decent team. You're going to see a lot of Bastille-led teams. I'm betting a lot of people that have been around for a while that do have Qui-Gon Jinn lead Zeta. He's going to come into play. You may even see some Grandmaster Yoda lead Zetas come into play. Because people that have put that on before Bastilla came out and before Revan. So there are options with Jedi. Some of the good ones are taken out. I guess in the few days we have left, you better gear up those lesser used Jedi if you don't already have them geared, huh? So the next faction is Sith. It's one of the more popular factions. People love their dark side. And of course, Traya, one of the most powerful characters in the game, definitely the most powerful Sith in the game, can't use her. You may have spent your 2 Zetas on her. You can't use her for this go-around. I mean, that really sucks. And then, of course, Nihilus. That, that's a pain. That was one character that, when he first came out, I poured a good bit of money into because I got him from the marquee packs. And those weren't cheap. And so, it's just a shame when they limit what you can use that you may have already invested your time and money into, rather than doing like they did before, where they just increase crappier characters and let you think of new ways to use them. I didn't mind that as much. Like, if you have to make a change, kind of go that route. But there's plenty of Sith. It looks like there's 11 left, so you could potentially make 2 squads out of that. Still run okay. And of course, if you go EP lead, you can run him with some Empire. Plenty of Empire left to be able to use those to fill in. Or you could do a Vader lead. I bet there's going to be, a few interesting combos coming up. Of course, Zal is still there, so you can make a pretty solid Zal squad if you want to use him. There's a good bit of options, but some of the other factions are, really affected, and we'll get into that. Next up, we got Bounty Hunters. A lot of people use the Bosk lead. That's still going to be intact. You can see here they knocked out 3 of them. And again, these are some popular ones. I mean, IG-88, okay. Dengar, a lot of people leveled up Dengar for the Chewie event. He's always been kind of at the bottom of my list, and I got 7-star Chewie without him, so I haven't really bothered with him. So no big loss for me, but I know others are going to feel that pain. So you got IG-88, Dengar's gone, and then they took out Jango Fett, which is a little strange because a lot of people, they bought him because he was a good character and one of the popular characters. People bought him from marquees. A lot of people in my guild did. And ever since he's gone to the node, of course people are farming him along with the Houndstooth. So a lot of people have been working on him. And it's just surprising that he was one of the choices to get cut. But, I guess it's the lesser of evils. You got to cut somebody. So there's enough bounty hunters left over that you can probably make a decent squad. But for the people that have wailed out on bounty hunters, like a couple in my guild, you know, they had 2 solid squads. They had a boss one for defense and then a Django lead for offense. And it was perfect. You can make 2 solid squads out of their maxed bounty hunters. And now you'll be able to make one with a couple odds and ends left over. Next up, we got First Order. We got First Order Stormtrooper taken out. First Order Officer taken out. Since there weren't 10, you still got enough room to be able to make a decent squad out of what's left over if you have them geared up enough. I know I've been neglecting like the Special Forces TIE Pilot. My Phasma's not all the way upgraded yet. But they'll be good enough filler, I suppose. But that's, you know, that's another Zeta on First Order Stormtrooper that's knocked out. That's like, thanks for spending that Zeta, but you're not going to get to use it. Oh, let's see what teams we have left. Next, we have Imperial Troopers. And now I know this is a fun squad. A lot of people use Imperial Troopers. A lot of people do Veers with Stark. I mean, they're like peas in a pod. You know, they go together with Stark's buffs, helping out the Imperial Troopers quite a bit. So that's going to be a shame that we can't use him. Death Trooper, of course, is on the chopping block. And I did put his Zeta on there a long time ago. I like him. I don't know. It's just a shame that we can't use him. And then Shore Trooper, one of the best tanks for Darkseid in the game, and we can't use him at all. So he's gone. There's still enough Imperial Troopers left over that we can make an okay squad. We'll see what it can do, but you know, it's not going to be nearly as effective as it was if we had Stark and Death Trooper and Shore Trooper. Next up, we got Night Sisters. They really, you know, dealt a blow to Night Sisters because a lot of people put both Zetas on Asajj Ventress. And that's one of the key ones. And then Zombie being the other. Like, they're the heart and soul of a Night Sister team. Now, if you have yours geared up enough, you could run Mother Talzin lead if you've got that Zeta and enough gear. But you'd have to have the rest of your Night Sisters pretty much geared up to be useful without Zombie and without Asajj Ventress. So I won't be running a Night Sister squad, you can see. The rest of my leftovers are just too low gear, so that's no good. And then lastly, I just wanted to fit them all on one screen. There were some odds and end characters. We've got Enfys Nest. We got Han Solo. We got HK. And then Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano. And Nest is going to be tough to lose because that's one that a lot of people have poured gear into and the Zeta into. And it's a shame that we're not going to be able to use her because she fits into so many teams. There's a lot of good utility there. With Han, he fit well with Rebels. You could run a Wedge lead. You could run a Commander Luke lead. You know, there were a few different things you could do. And he added a lot of hard-hitting, damage-dealing power. And we're going to be lacking that. Plus the ability to go first, you know, really helped out the team to be able to, you know, take out Traya or use it for a rev encounter. I mean, we don't have to worry about those teams in this territory war because they were banned also. But it really does limit things when you can't go first without Han in the squad. HK, I don't really use. If you want to run a droid team or a droid Jawa team, I guess you would use him as the leader. So you won't be doing that this go around. But there's some people that do and like to run different teams, and he's a solid lead, and they're going to be without that. And then you can see I haven't worked on my Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano, but again, when she came out, a lot of people did, and they got her geared up and everything because she's a hard-hitting damage dealer, and now they're going to be without that. So we do have a good bit of options left, but I don't know. It's just more of a pain having to deal without these characters that we put a lot of time and money and resources into. I think this whole thing kind of seems half-baked. I think they could have done a much better job coming to us and saying, here's some ideas we have. Vote on these ideas. There was a thread on Reddit, I believe, that listed 20 different ideas for territory wars that are better than what they came up with. And some of those were pretty promising. I mean, there's a lot of different options you could do. Why don't you do a poll like that for the player base and say, we want to make the map different, a different shape so you can flank your enemies, or we want to add more areas in. There's a lot of different things that could have been done instead of just picking out and banning which characters they think we voted on. You realize the majority of the player base, they don't get involved into the community as far as YouTube videos, chatting on the forums, going to Reddit, or anything like that. There wasn't even a poll that was in-game. I think they would have gotten a lot more feedback if they actually integrated it into the game. Kind of like how they do the update splash screens, but they didn't do that. They could have done that with a link to the forum survey and gotten maybe a better representation, especially if they would have put the controls in place to limit the voting to one per person and the correct number of choices. But anyway, those are my thoughts. So just wanted to get that out there. And if you guys have any thoughts on this whole mess and you want to share, feel free to write the comments in down below or drop by my Discord server and we'll chat it out.